OneX Developer Podcast.
Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or night, or whatever it is whenever you're listening to this.
People always talk about wherever you get your podcasts. They don't talk about whenever you get your podcasts, right? Nobody talks about the time.
Yeah. I feel like you were about to do your own bit there with the fists, or...
No, I was just getting hyped for the episode.
Nice, yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Well, before we get into today's episode, actually, I got a special surprise.
Oh.
I'm precariously pulling this out between like a giant stack of Diet Coke cans without knocking them over. This is probably backwards, isn't it?
Nope, that looks good.
Oh, cool. The IT Dictionary by Adam Corda, hardback, very good print quality. I haven't looked at it much, just flipped through it, but yeah, here's a OneX developer approved literature for you folks. I also have a Matt Watson book upstairs. I should have brought that to show off the full OneX developer collection. But Matt Watson has a few books, I think. I want to get have what's it called? Like New York bestseller, like the bestseller star. I want to get like one of those for the OneX Developer Podcast featured.
OneX approved. Yeah.
Or like doesn't Oprah have like a Oprah reading list or something? I don't know. I want something like that.
Yeah. I got my copy of IT Dictionary this week too.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. I love that.
Did you get a hardback or a paperback?
I got paperback.
Wow. Okay.
Are you judging me? I feel like you're judging me.
No, why would you say that?
I love the idea of the OneX Developer Reading Club, though. I think that'd be a cool idea.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, with that out of the way, today I want to talk about interviewing and hiring and the process of developers getting jobs and software companies finding developers and just that whole mess. I feel like nobody on earth has figured it out yet.
I feel like it's getting worse.
You think it's getting worse?
I think so, don't you? Yeah, I think this thing, I think we have a weird thing going on where like job seekers feel like they have to use AI, and meanwhile people hiring for jobs feel like they have to use AI to filter this huge volume of resumes they're getting. And we have like, I don't know, fighting AIs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's that. I don't use any AI tools on my resume or anything. Maybe that's why I don't get a lot of calls back. But I do worry about that. Like, I kind of wonder like if in the future people are even gonna apply to things that way, right? It seems like by far the best way to get a job right now is to know somebody or hear about it directly, or maybe a recruiter reaches out to you. But like these days I wonder like if I just send a resume through like a web application, web form, like is it even being saved? Is it just going directly to the trash, like my junk mail idea from last episode, where like the trash man just comes and picks it up immediately?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I know a lot of people kind of have that feeling that like I sent out 50 resumes and not a single one called me back, right? It's frustrating and it's annoying and it makes you kind of feel like you're not doing something right. But like, why do companies have these jobs posted if they're not going to follow up with people who apply? What's happening there?
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder. I mean, I think they like. I don't think they have those up. Like, despite what I just said, I don't think they're actually doing that. I do think like the resumes are submitted and something or someone looks at them. But I definitely. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's proven that some companies will have job postings up that they're like not really actively hiring for,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just kind of leave them up. Because like there's certain companies that are in the job is just always posted. I'm not going to say any names, but like I've noticed it. I've seen people on like Hacker News who's hiring threads talk about this. Like, this company that everybody wants to work for just is always hiring for whatever it is, senior full stack engineer, and it's just always up. And like I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I guess is fine, right? They're saying that they're saying like, hey, if anybody with that we think would be a good fit comes along, we'll hire them. I guess that's what they're saying, but it's weird.
I think companies should be more transparent when they do that. Ideally, I think the right way to do that, at least in my view, is to say we don't we don't have any open positions right now, but if you feel like you meet the qualifications, or if you have, I don't know, skills that might align with what we're doing, feel free to submit a resume and we'll take a look. I just think I think it's a better way to signal to people who are actively looking for a job that you might not get a call back on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know people have like attempted things like this, but it does really seem like there should just be, a place like LinkedIn or whatever, where it's like every employee can just have a profile and every employer can just have a profile, and they're, an AI tool or something just, connects them or like, suggests top, like these are companies that looks like you would like to work for, and these are employees that look like they have the skill set for what you're looking for. Like, it seems like something like that should exist more. I mean, I guess that's what like Monster.com and all those are supposed to be, but it doesn't seem like that's what they are.
Yeah, what's the difference between that and LinkedIn? Like, where's LinkedIn falling short on that?
I don't know. I mean, they do suggest like I get suggestions for companies, but first of all, the suggestions just aren't that good. Like, and I guess it's just because like I think LinkedIn looks at all the skills that are listed on my LinkedIn profile. So like, I guess it doesn't really know what it is exactly I'm looking for now at this point in my career. Maybe that's part of it. And I don't know of a way to really tell it to not do that.
Are we talking about specific programming languages, or is it more like you're looking for a company where you can, I don't know, like a company with room for advancement or something like that?
Yeah, like languages, like skills that I have from earlier in my career, it'll like recommend me positions that utilize those skills now. Which I guess maybe I could remove those things from my LinkedIn, but I don't know. Like, maybe I just don't know much about how LinkedIn works. Because like, there's also this thing where you can like, I forget what it's called, like not recommend, but like, you can basically like upvote other people's profiles for skills that they have listed. Like, you can put on your profile that you know Python, and then I can like give you like and it's not called it's called something else, but like I can say it like, I could give you an upvote or whatever. And that basically shows that, there's other people that agree that you do have that skill and you are good at that. Oh. So like I have old stuff on my profile that I have upvotes on, and I don't know if I can even like, I don't know if that like how that works, if I can like remove those or what. And I don't feel like I want to, cause like I got votes on them, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know. There's that, but then also the second thing you said is also true, where I don't think there's any kind of mechanism for like types of companies or verticals or like like it just seems like it's a mixed bag of any type of company. Even like remote or even like locations. That happens to me a lot. I've had like recruiters reach out to me and they're like, yeah, we've got this job in Arizona. And I'm like, that's great. I'm not really in a position where I could do that. How did you even find me?
Yeah.
But, but anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you haven't thought this through so much, but like what would you do differently? How would you make a different kind of LinkedIn to help matchmake people like that?
Well, yeah, I guess maybe it's just not as easy of a problem as I thought. I mean, I guess a big part of it probably is just the fact that, and this is like an inherent problem with any type of like social media type of application, is that like it's only as good as its user base is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you kind of need everyone on it, and there's only a few like web apps that are in a position like that, right? I'd say like Facebook and X and maybe Reddit, maybe YouTube or the G Suite. Only only a few things are at that point where they're and not even everybody uses those, but they're ubiquitous enough that it's like, like there's a big pool on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's almost impossible. I mean, even it was only a couple of years ago that Threads launched, right? And it was like big for a minute, and then it was like,
yeah,
even Threads couldn't like get over that hump of getting people to. I feel like they got people to sign up, but they didn't get people to stick around. You know.
Well, so Threads was interesting because it also was integrated with, because it was a Meta product. So like if you already had an Instagram account, you basically already had a Threads account. You just had to like log into it and you could just log in with your Instagram account. But yeah, even then, which is like the major hurdle, right? Is like getting people to sign up for the thing.
Yeah.
But then even then it kind of fell off.
It's tough. I have started to wonder if like we're past the days of even being possible to have. I mean, what was the last one that really had staying power? TikTok?
I would say TikTok that I'm aware of. There's been others, but not like at that scale. I recently learned about Strava, I think it is.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking about it because it's like, this is like totally off topic, but that's what we do here. It's like focused on endurance sports, and it's kind of one of those things where you can like log your, you run a mile, you log it in your Strava app, and then like there's like social features. And I don't know why, because usually I feel like I've seen other apps that do that, and people just kind of don't really use the social aspect of it. But it seems like Strava actually has a community where people do actually interact with each other on there. And it's, I was watching a video, a guy was saying it's just cool because it's like one of the few social media apps where it's like people are on there for like good, wholesome reasons. Like you go on Strava and people are like, hey, I ran a mile. And then all your friends are like, hey, good job, man. Keep it up. Which is like the exact opposite experience of what you have on most other social media apps,
A mile, loser.
Yeah. Or, and people just posting booty pics or whatever. I wonder if that happens on Strava. I don't use it because I don't run, but I used to ride bikes, but I don't really. I'm going to go on Strava and just talk about how fat I am.
Well, it sounds like they'd encourage you. They'd be like, hey, buddy, you can lose the weight. No, that thing about like the community that is attracted to a certain kind of social media. I mean, I think that's really fascinating. I'm sure people have looked into that and understand it, but like even the way it varies from subreddit to subreddit, like I have a friend who's kind of getting more into Reddit lately, and he's just like, yeah, some of the subreddits, the topic I'm interested in, but the community just sucks. Like the people are just terrible. It's like you got to find one where the people are, you got a good community around it.
Right. Let me just say, your friend needs help. You need to step up as a friend right now.
Oh, you think he's like cry for help?
No, I mean, like you said, he's getting more into Reddit. Like there's still time to like
Okay.
bring him back to the like, Reddit is weird because I've never liked Reddit, and I've always kind of been a fan of those like typical Redditor memes and stuff.
Mhm.
But then it's like as every year goes by, it's like I can't avoid Reddit. Like and anything I'm interested in that I'm looking up, it's like I find a Reddit thread that answers it, and like nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people these days who just put that in their Google searches, like cite Reddit.
Yeah, yeah. If it's like a direct question, like yeah, a lot of the time that's the best way to get an answer.
I I don't really spend a lot of time on Reddit, but of all the social media stuff, I feel like that's, I don't know. Like I said, it really varies subreddit to subreddit. So I'm not sure I would be excited about being a Redditor, but I think there's some good communities on there. Whereas, Facebook is
Yeah.
just like a dumpster fire these days.
Well, yeah, and that is a weird thing because it's more like a collection of social medias more than like a really one social media thing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Reddit is a little bit different from the others. I mean, Twitter and X have, they do have like their subgenres. They're just not as well defined.
Yeah,
It's not
that
as well
part of
defined as a
Twitter.
subreddit.
Yeah,
Book
or like Black Twitter,
whatever.
or yeah. Uh, I will say I hate Reddit's UI. I don't know
Hmm.
if that's a hot take. I've always felt like it's just very ugly, and threads are kind of hard to see. Like, is this a reply to that or this? Or, I've
Yeah,
never liked it.
I I find it simple, to be honest. I don't especially love the way it looks, but I kind of, I mean, I feel like the interface is so much less cluttered than, Facebook at least.
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's not a bunch of
Um,
crap all over the place.
so I kind of like that about it, but I wouldn't exactly say it's pretty. It's functional.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Hacker News all day, and it's basically the same. So
Yeah.
I don't know why that's different for me, but whatever.
Yeah. That one I find hard to follow threads, honestly.
Yeah, but only if it's like a lot of conversation at once. Smaller threads are like easy to understand. Anyway, back to interviews. So here's the big question I think I have, and this is what I'm really interested in. So let's say I just burped into the mic. I'm sorry. Let's just say that I'm applying for a job at your company, Brennan. Like, where do you start? Like, okay, so you've got my resume. So you see this alleged history of my work experience and my education.
Hmm.
What's your plan for figuring out if I'm going to be like a good candidate for your position you have open?
To be honest, I I'd kind of look for I think traditional, like more traditional market rather than like, okay, I'll tell you what I don't like, first of all. I don't really care that you know the latest framework or that you've worked with like a lot of frameworks or that you've jumped around and like know a lot about a bunch of stuff. I I think it's much more important seeing like kind of traditional stuff on a resume, like that you were able to identify like I made this change and it affected this at the company, right? That you're able
Mhm.
to like connect your programming work to real world results in some way. This is how it affected the team, or this is how it affected customers, that kind of stuff. I I think focusing on like specific languages is really a big trap. I
For
I
sure,
think
yeah.
in the interview process, I want to know, like, I think a smart person can pick up a programming language in enough to do the job at least and like get up and running in a couple weeks. And I think that's true regardless of the language or the framework or whatever. That's not mastering it, but I think, again, I think a smart person can like pick it up well enough to do the job. So, so so if we throw like specific frameworks and languages and stuff out, I'm looking for things that make me think that you're that kind of person, that you're a smart person who's able to pick things up easily and that you understand connections between the technical work of programming and like real world results of the company.
For sure, yeah, that's big, and that's not even to say anything about personality, which is a big thing too, right? Like culture fit is what they call it in like HR speak, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
like, is this somebody who has the humility to like admit when they're wrong about things? Is this someone who has the drive to kind of do what you're talking about? Learn a new language, pick it up, like figure things out as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So that's one way to take that question. What I'm really more curious of is like process wise, like what do you do? Like how do you figure out if I'm that person, right? Like because there's different ways people have done it. There's been like whiteboarding sessions, right, where you just have someone like solve a problem in front of everyone. There's lead code style questions that are like real specific algorithm type things. There's like take home projects. I've seen people online who think all those things are terrible and they should just talk to you, I guess. I don't know, and just like take your word for it, I guess. What do you think like about that? Because I don't know. Like I don't think anyone really knows.
I'm not a big fan of leet code stuff. And by that, I mean questions that mostly involve like, to me, I feel like when people are studying leet code, they're studying for the test. You know what I mean? It's like, we've heard about this problem, this specific, very difficult problem. And you're kind of like memorizing the way that you would study for like an SAT or something, where it's like, I don't know, you're looking for specific things and studying for those. I'm also not a big fan of like in-person whiteboarding tests. Maybe that's just my personality, but I think that there are lots of people who are really smart and good that don't perform well under pressure, like doing it in front of everybody. So I think that take-home tests is really the way to go. I've heard people recommend also giving the person like a small task from the company, giving them like actual, access to some subset of your data and like take it home and do the project and see what they come up with, and pay them for it.
Right. I was about to say this sounds like just unpaid labor, but yeah.
No, that's part of it, is that you pay for that work, because I think a lot of people do get pissed off when a company sends them home with like a test that takes them 10 hours or something, and then
Absolutely.
they go back and the company's like, thanks, but no.
Yeah. Or what's even worse is, and this has happened to me, you do the take home exam and then you just don't hear anything.
Yeah.
That's the worst. It's like I hear people complain about jobs and like hiring processes, and sometimes I'm a little bit like, oh, well, that's kind of just the way it is. But like, that's one thing that I think companies should do. Like, you should communicate if they're not going to move forward.
Yeah. I get the impression that's becoming more normalized, unfortunately. I feel like the no response is becoming kind of a normal thing.
I think you're right, and I think it's part of what you were talking about earlier, is that there's just so many applications, like AI generated resumes, that it's like we're not going to send an email to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that might actually be fine too. But I would say, like, if you have an interview with someone, you should, at that point, you owe it to them to communicate to them the next steps of the process. If that means nothing, then let them know.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
I also agree. I do think leak code type questions are usually pretty dumb. The main problem being, in my opinion, that they just don't really reflect the job, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're more. I mean, it's exactly what you said, right? It's how people say, like, you get the results. There's like a saying about this, like the results you get are based on what you're measuring, right? Or the performance you see is based on the metric you measure on. There's something there, right?
Yep.
And it's 100% true, right? If the measuring scale is how good you are at lead code, you get people that are really good at lead code and nothing else. Is there overlap there? Like, probably, yeah. People who are really good at lead code are probably good developers a lot of the time. But I think there's got to be a better way to do it. And also the whiteboarding thing, as it's exactly as you said. I've 100% not even in person. Like I've done virtual whiteboarding sessions where I just completely froze up and I just couldn't, my brain didn't work.
Yeah. I feel like I would do the same. I've never had to do it, but I just don't. I don't think I perform well in those situations where someone's like watching me do it.
Yeah. And that also doesn't really reflect the job either, right? That's not what you would do at work.
I think that's a really big part. I didn't mention that with the LEET code, but you're 100% right with that. Yeah, the like how often in a job are you implementing your own bubble sort or whatever? Like
Right. Yeah.
it's you're probably not doing that in the job, and if the job needs you to do that, maybe a LEET code style thing is okay, where you're like really focused on optimizing algorithms and stuff like that. But most jobs, I think, are not like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that leaves take home tests. You've done some take home tests. What's your experience been?
So I think it's probably my favorite of the approaches we've talked about. I've had bad experiences with take home assignments before. The main one is I've had some where they were like really vague, and they didn't really tell me what they wanted. This was years ago, but I remember have this one exchange I had like, and it wasn't through. I don't think it was through like CoderPad or anything. It was just like they just wanted me to like send them, like I don't know if they wanted me to send them a zip or like a link to a GitHub repo or what, but they just wanted me to like send it to them, and they just gave me this page description, and the description was something like, yeah, make a service that takes data and gives results. Like there was more to it than that, but it was very just like, okay, what's my data going to look like? Do I know what how's it supposed to be reported? What type of metrics? What type of what? There's just like all these questions that the questions were so big I didn't even really have specific questions. It's just like, dude, I need more here.
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking like, I got like really in my head, and this is what happens like during whiteboard type things for me too, right? This is what makes me freeze up. Is I started thinking like, okay, well, so when you take a test, right? You read a question, like in school, right? When you're taking a test, you read a question, and there's the question that's on the page, and then there's the question within the question, right? Like there's like, and I'm generally a good test taker. I think a big part of it is because I can usually identify like, okay, the reason why they're asking this question is because they want to see if I know this principle from the class, right?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like I don't know, like if they say Johnny has 7 apples and then he sold 2 apples, how many apples does he have? You first need to identify, oh yeah, this is one of those subtraction questions, right? And then you know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And so I was in this position where I didn't like, the project was all vague, and I was like, wait, do they want me to take a vague problem and just run with it and like build something and see how, are they just trying to see what I build? Or are they trying to ask, or are they trying to see if I'm going to push back and try to get more requirements, which is a sign of someone who's good at programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of went down this rabbit hole, like psychologically. Eventually I sent him an email. I was like, hey, yeah, I've got some questions, what exactly, and I asked him some specific question, like what exactly should the data be or something. And the guy was pretty much just like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, okay. And I gave him something, and I didn't get the job. So I don't know. I don't know if like my code was bad or if I just like misread the question or what. That was a really weird experience.
Yeah, that sucks not to get some feedback on that.
Yeah, that too. I usually ask for feedback, but some companies won't do that. They'll just say like, yeah, we just we don't disclose or something. So yeah, that's happened to me. And then another thing is, I've noticed more. It seems like more lately, companies will give you a take-home assignment and they'll give you like some time estimate. They'll say like, typically this takes people like 3 to 5 hours. And I think that's really helpful because that's something that I've also struggled with. Going back to that last example, right, where they gave me this super open-ended problem, it's like, do I spend, do they want me to spend like a day building this huge thing, or do they just want me to just like throw something together?
Yeah.
And so I think being told like, hey, yeah, this should take you like 3 hours. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll give you I'll spend 5 hours on it and send it to you, and then say it took me 3 hours, and then but just like something like that. So it's like, okay, there's some concept of scale.
Right. Hours,
So-
not days.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the ideal take-home assessment gives you a time estimate, gives you clear, basically like you would expect from a Jira ticket, except more because this is like there's not an existing project there, but I think you would have that, clear direction, and then that's it, I guess. I mean, and it should reflect also the actual position. That's the last thing.
Yeah. What yeah, so when it comes to this distinction between like giving direction versus being vague, I can kind of see both sides of that from the hiring manager's point of view. Like on one hand, I do think it would be valuable to give someone a kind of vague direction, say this, yeah, whatever you're able to come up with in 3 hours. We just kind of want to make sure that you know how to make an HTTP request and how to handle the response and that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
the details of it don't matter. Versus, yeah, something really, really specific where it was like, you need to implement, this kind of service, and this is what your data is going to look like. And I can kind of see both sides of that, but you think it's valuable to the test taker to know, to have more details.
I
Have a
would say
clear
so.
direction.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, maybe not. Maybe they can be vague, but I think it would be cool for them to say what you said, which is like, hey, we just want to see, what you come up with, and see if you're, and also if you're going to be vague, you definitely give like a time box, say like, hey, don't spend more than 4 hours on this.
Yeah.
Right. I think that would be really valuable. Like if you're hiring like a web designer, say like, hey, make a website. Or, well, I mean, I guess they probably already have one ready to go to show you, but something like I can see situations where that would be valuable. Where you're like, hey, make something, show us what you can do. That could be fine.
Because when we were talking earlier about measuring, when you're trying to measure skills that are hard to measure, like curiosity, creativity, right? Like these are important skills, and they're really, really hard to measure. So I think those kind of like open-ended things maybe are an attempt to get at that kind of stuff. Did you come up with an interesting novel solution?
Yeah, and now that I think about it, it might also be they're trying to get around people plugging it into an AI tool, like or like just looking up an answer.
True. Yep, that's a good point.
There was one other story that just came back to me. This might have been the same one. I'm not sure. I haven't. I swear I haven't applied to that many jobs. Have been rejected. Okay, but there was one time where I had a take home project, whatever, and they told me specifically in the setup that I could use any language, any framework, whatever I wanted. And at the time, I was learning Elixir, and I was like into Phoenix, and I thought it was really. I still do. I think it's really cool. And so I made this project in Phoenix, written in Elixir, and also they told me like they did this thing like they kind of made it sound like, oh, it's not a big deal, just kind of like throw something together. And then when they gave me back, so they actually did the opposite of what some of these other companies I was complaining about have done. They gave me they had like a full rubric of like what specifically they were measuring, and they had like points for each thing, right? Like test coverage, like test coverage 9 out of 10, or like what, like it was like that, and it was like multiple pages long, which I was like, okay, but so, and I don't remember what the section was, but in the comments, the guy. Well, first of all, they complained that it was hard for them to get Elixir up and running to run it, which is like, okay, then you should probably suggest specific uh,
Yeah.
because I mean, I could have submitted anything, that stuff that you couldn't run at all. I don't know, but they complain about that, and then there's also a note about like, so you chose to build this in Elixir, and I don't know why, because that's not on your resume, and it's just like, because you said I could use anything, and I was thinking that, hey, Phoenix is new, Elixir is kind of hot right now, so I was thinking like, oh, if I do this, it'll kind of show them that like I'm someone who's like curious and like is like building in different things, is like interested in learning different things, isn't stuck to one thing. But I'm not really good enough at Elixir, or I don't have enough experience to like put it on my resume. I've never used it as a job, so I thought that was a cool way to like show off my other skills without putting it on my resume and then getting tested on it.
Yeah. That's kind of a funny gamble, because it depends a little bit on the company. Like, do they want newish technologies, or do they want to stick with like boring old battle tested stuff?
Well, like from what I've seen, like, or at least like the like recruiters I've talked to, and maybe it's just the recruiters, just like, they're just going with like what they've been given, but they tend to be like very like, I'm looking for somebody with this many years of experience in this language, right? They tend to be very like focused on that stuff. And which makes, I mean, there are times where it's like, hey, we have this project that was like built by these offshore people, and they were all like, Golang gurus, and now that contract is over, and now we have all like our internal folks who don't have as much experience with Go are trying to manage this thing. Like, it makes sense that you would say, okay, we like, it's not the most important thing in the world, but like, we need somebody with like good Go experience. Like, I think that's fine that there are situations like that. Generally, I agree more with what you were saying earlier of like, just, if you understand the core, if you're like someone who's curious and like is good at like development principles, you should be able to like be effective. But anyway, yeah, in my experience, companies tend to be very focused on like wanting specific framework experience, specific language experience.
It occurs to me that my opinion about that stuff, about like being able to learn languages and stuff, might come from a different era where people were expected to like stick around in jobs and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
it's one thing to hire someone who doesn't know Go, and then, within a year, they will be, totally proficient in Go, and they'll know all the foot guns and stuff of it. But like, a lot of developers don't stick around for a year. A lot of people job hop way more than they used to. So maybe, I don't know, maybe companies feel like they're taking a risk these days doing that. It's like, if you're only going to be around for 6 months, we want you to like hit the ground running.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes I wonder if I've job hopped too much.
You've had what in the last, well, if you feel comfortable saying, yeah, how many jobs?
Okay, so I finished college in 2016. We're recording this in 2025, so I've got like a 9-year tenure. So not including my internship while I was in college, I'm on the 4th job. 4 jobs in 9 years.
That doesn't seem crazy.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know. I tend to feel like, especially when you're young, moving around jobs is like, it's straight out of college. I don't think it's any big deal to like jump around jobs looking for the right thing when you're fresh out of college.
Yeah.
Got to see what's out there.
Yeah. A thing that happens a lot in these types of discussions is that like we're like logical about this stuff, but then it's like you gotta, maybe I'm being harsh, but it seems like a lot of hiring people are not like really that logical about the process, right? they focus on these metrics that they like have to hit or that they're expecting from candidates.
Let's talk about that. Where do those metrics come from? Like, what's driving those? Are these, I don't know, are these like requirements from government regulations, or are they requirements from just the higher ups at the company?
Dude, that's a good question. I don't know, right? Like, I don't know how they say like, yeah, we need somebody with 5 years experience in Python. I don't know where the 5 comes from.
Because I kind of have that same impression that hiring managers do that kind of thing. They just have a list of things that they want to hit, and they have similar things where it's like, I assume that it's like you need to hire 4 people this quarter, and they just have to hit that.
Yeah, maybe at least with the like years of experience thing, maybe it's just a way to just weed people out, just so they don't have too many.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is an easy thing. It's a binary thing that is much easier, like we said, easier to measure than like, is this person curious? Are they self-driven?
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing too. I see a lot of people online, they say like, or less so now, but like a few years ago, maybe people would say, yeah, man, just grind leak code and you'll like get a really great high paying programming job. And the thing I've always wondered about that, first of all, is if it's true, but also like, I feel like the hard part really is getting the interview, right? Like, I don't know, like, so if you grind leak code all the time, like you still have to submit the resume that, I don't know, are you putting your leak code like score or whatever on your resume? Like, how does that work?
You don't just like send your resume to Apple and like a job,
Right.
please. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe people see the studying leak code as the hard part and the making connections as the easy part. But I agree with you. I think it would be tough to, I don't know, get your foot in the door at some of those FANG companies.
Maybe, maybe this is like, these are people in the West Coast where maybe it's easier for them to just kind of walk in, but they gotta be able to leak code their way through the interview. I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you're already in San Francisco, maybe that's maybe the chances of running into somebody who works at Apple or works at Google are pretty high. You hang out at the right bar and you run into somebody.
I guess, I don't know.
Have you ever worked at a small startup? This is one of the things that I have always wondered about, and I've never had a chance to work at like a small company that was just getting going, and like, the reputation for those companies is you're expected to work like lots and lots of hours because there's always crazy stuff going on, and you wear a lot of hats, and it's a small team, but like you actually really care about what you're doing. I've always thought that sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never worked at an early stage startup, but I have worked at a startup that had like 10 employees. But I mean, they've been around for like 8 years. They're like, their product have been around for like 8 years. So it's not exactly what you're describing, but close. And I did work a lot. And there was a lot of like, it was like chaotic, like, but it wasn't, at least at that place, the work-life balance was pretty reasonable. I'd say, like, people would not work much more than 40 hours most of the time.
Okay.
Unless there was like a disaster, it was like pretty normal job.
What was chaotic then? Was that requests from clients, or was it like internal stuff?
I would say like the direction would change really, really quickly. Like, it would be like this week would be like, okay, we're really focused on this goal or this product or whatever. And then a couple weeks later, it would be like something totally different because either like, a big client would come in and request something, or funding would change, right? Because like they weren't like profitable yet. So there was that. and like budget was tight. So like budgeting decisions would happen really quickly. And yeah, I guess part of it might have just been personality. Like maybe that was just kind of the way that the company was run. But I definitely remember it being like a lot more fast paced in that way. Like we would just like, we had to pivot like pretty quickly.
I always thought that sounded fun. I don't know, if as long as I cared about the thing that was going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been thinking a lot about this lately. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. Like, I feel like I would like to start a business, but I just don't know what. And that's the thing. It's like I need some guy to like come in and be like, man, if only there was like a CRUD app for this very specific thing, I would give people billions of dollars for it. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. I'm a 1X developer. Nice to meet you. You know?
If only someone would drive around and pick up my mail and throw away the stuff I don't want.
Exactly, dude.
Let's talk about running your own business. Now that you mention it, what do you think you would want to run your own business? Because like, I've thought about this too. I think it sounds like a lot of fun to like kind of own the thing and make decisions about the direction of the thing without having to, worry too much about other people's input. At the same time, sometimes when I read people's accounts of it, I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. I don't want to deal with catering decisions or like whatever, all that kind of boring stuff. What do you think?
Well, I mean, so I think the thing that led me to this thinking is that, and we've talked about this a lot. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but we've definitely talked about this, you and me, about just like wanting to work on a product that like you really care about, and then like being invested in it, and being able to like just work on things that are interesting to you, right? And I feel like I'm reaching up. I just think that's pretty rare, going like traditional career routes, you know? So I think that's kind of what's led me to it. Because like owning a business, running a business would suck in a lot of ways. And I don't know if I'd be good at it either. But I think it would be really exciting and fun.
I really have a suspicion, and I think, if I ever start my own business, maybe I'll be proven totally wrong about this. I have a suspicion that people overcomplicate it. Like, I think it's easier than people think. I think that I'm talking about like a one-person business. You are the business. Yeah. Before you get into hiring employees and having to provide healthcare for them and stuff like that, like I understand that starts to get complicated. But like just you running a business, I just think that people overestimate how complicated like accounting and stuff like that is. I don't think it needs to be as complicated as people make it out to be.
Honestly, I think you're right. I went through this phase around like the time I finished college where I was like reading a lot of self-help books, and I was like, I was going through like a Tai Lopez, and I wasn't doing all that, but I was like, I remember I was watching a YouTube video of like an entrepreneur guy, and he was saying that a lot of people they get really into like, oh, I need to register a name, a name for my business, or I need to register my business. I need to set up all these tax forms. I need to have all this set up. And he was saying, and this is not financial advice from us, but he was saying like, if your business is making less than $10,000, which it is, right? Most entrepreneurs are like not making any money. If you're making less than $10,000, you don't need to do literally any of that, because, and that's not coming from like a legal perspective, but just like, look, the IRS does not care less than $10,000. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that, like you really don't need to worry about any of that. Like the only thing you really need to worry about in the beginning is like making money, right? If you're not making any money, you don't really have a business. So there's really nothing to worry about.
Right.
So like, and that's always stuck with me. And again, this isn't like official advice. I probably would be a little nervous about like just not having any of that until $10,000. But yeah, I do get that impression from like, I mean, I've known people who've owned businesses, and they do seem to get like really focused on like making business cards or like it's like why are you even making a business card? Nobody cares about your business card.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. That doesn't make money. Like you really need to focus on like your core business and like making a website, making a social media page. Kind of depends on what it is, right? If it's like if it's like like a cookie business or something, then yeah, you need to be like very online, like getting to customers and stuff. But like, yeah, you need to just focus on doing the business probably more than anything else.
Right. Finding customers that will give you money for your service.
And I think in software, it's interesting because, for the initial like 3 months, you're not making any money at all. You don't even have anything. You're just making the software, right? So
yeah. I think the way to do it is to make the software in your free time and then have that ready to go when you launch, right?
Yeah, I think that's what most people do. That's what I would like to do. But first of all, I have to focus on one thing at a time. There's that. And it has to be like something that people other than me would care about. Right. It has to actually be good.
I think that us programmers, what is that about programmers that they love like exploring new things and they like can't stick to one thing? Because I can't stick to one thing either.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think like I feel like there's a thing amongst programmers where they think that starting a business means making a SaaS company specifically. Like, because that's something just I've been thinking about lately is like, well, you could make just a regular business that has nothing to do with tech. You can do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's because, well, I mean, partly it's just that like the world has been, the world that we live in has been so transformed by these SaaS companies, right? It's tempting to see everything through that lens. Like everything needs to be a SaaS company.
yeah.
How many things, of course I can't come up with an example right now, but like how many things are like this, but it's a subscription service. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So yeah. Anyway, you have any other thoughts?
I'd like
50 minutes.
I'd like to start my own business someday. I
think,
don't know.
I think so too. Yeah.
I don't foresee it being the next big thing, but I'd like to have my own thing that I grow. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's the thing too. It doesn't need to be the next big thing. It needs to be a thing that makes as much money as you make at your job right now, which in terms of like business to business money is like freaking nothing,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think that's worth really understanding. I don't think I understood that when I was younger, how much like businesses are willing to pay to like go to conferences and shit like that. It's crazy. The money they're willing to drop on big contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. I think the thing that made me realize that was looking at office chairs and how expensive they are.
Yeah.
and then somebody told me like, oh yeah, well, people don't really buy these. Like companies buy these in bulk and they just have enough money they don't really care. Like a $100 chair versus a $200 chair just isn't a big deal.
Yeah. I think that's it for me. I wish I had more to say about hiring, but I haven't been on an interview in over 10 years. So
have you been involved in hiring at all?
I've looked over resumes. I've never done any interviews, to be honest, but I've looked over resumes to help make decisions about like, what do you think of this? Does this guy look interesting? What about you?
Not really. I mean, I've looked at resumes and I've like sat in on calls with like meeting people, but no, I've never like led hiring really, or I've never done like. I've never given somebody I've never been like on the other side of a whiteboard session. I wonder what that would be like. I feel like I'd be like too nice, you know, just from like the experiences I've had, you know, I'd be like, you know, oh yeah, that's fine. Well, you know, yeah, you can just kind of pseudocode that. Yeah, whatever, you know. Yeah, it's just like, you know, I'd be like giving him a bunch of hints and stuff.
Yeah. Be like, you don't want to be, the dick interviewer.
Yeah. Okay. Whose side are you on? Okay. Ooh, this is one that I thought people had stopped talking about, but I just saw on Twitter somebody was talking about this again. This might be a little bit of a spicy one. Here we go. The name of your default branch being master or main.
Oh.
And well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like, so honestly, I feel like you probably feel the same way that I do, which is like, literally, who cares? Like, you know, I don't care. The only thing I care about is if you make a big deal out of it, you're a freaking weirdo. Either way, you know.
Yeah. I don't have strong feelings about master main. I'll go either way. I guess I understand that there are people who have strong feelings about master, and I don't see any reason. Like I think Git kind of did the right thing there, where it was like, okay, we're going to change it going forward. We're not going to like go rename everyone's master branch to main or anything like that. But like, going forward, there are people who feel very strongly about this, so let's respect that.
Yeah. So it came back up again. I saw that DHH, the Ruby on Rails guy, he was tweeting that he like deliberately changes it to master. And it's like, I see what you're trying to do. Like, I guess I understand where you're coming from, but it's just like, you're being weird. Just, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever changed the name of a default branch on a project, you know, like I just, if it's main, then it's main. If it's master, then it's master, you know?
Yeah. It
really doesn't matter.
I mean, it's a totally functional decision to me. I don't think there's any, I don't think there's really any good reason to prefer one over the other.
Well, I mean, main is less letters to type.
That's true. Don't you have a bunch of Git shortcuts though? Don't you just like?
Yeah. I have tab completion in my terminal. So
yeah.
Either way,
main is shorter. I will say this though, I do think not so much master branch in Git, but like I do think there are situations where the master slave relationship is a good descriptor of what's going on, like database replication, where I think it's a little silly just to like focus on the word itself, and like if it's an accurate description of what's going on in like technically, I don't think there's any reason to avoid that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, that these aren't people we're talking about, right? These are technology things. So, you know, I understand people might have like a word association that makes them uncomfortable, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I've never met anyone who felt that way.
I haven't either. I have seen people post online who've said like, yeah, I feel so uncomfortable with the word that I feel like excluded from joining in on this kind of stuff. So I don't know. And if that's the case, like if people are really feeling excluded, I think we should do our best to accommodate that. But I've never met anyone also.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to open a can of worms at the end of the episode, but that's kind of where I land with most of those types of discussions, right? Like, it might seem weird to me that someone feels uncomfortable with something, but if someone tells me, like, if you were to tell me, like, Colin, it makes me really uncomfortable when you are eating sun chips. Well, actually, that makes sense because eating chips is annoying, actually, in a microphone. But, like, I don't know. If you just told me, like, man, I really hate that exercise ball next to your TV so much, it makes me so uncomfortable. It like I just have some psychological block that it, like, does psychic damage to me. Like, that might seem silly to me, but I would remove the exercise ball for you, because that costs me nothing to do. So
Yeah.
So you're welcome, Brendan. I'll move the ball.
If you could, that'd be great.
I actually usually do. I usually have it just behind me because I don't like it there.
No, I think it's a splash of color, especially with the new painting. I feel like
You don't feel like I'm imbalanced. I feel like I've got more stuff on this side of the frame.
No, I think it's fine. I think you have
Nice.
it's mostly white, a little bit of color on the left, a little bit of color on the right.
Also, these lights are white right now. They show up a little blue,
Oh
like
yeah,
over here, but they're white.
yeah, real blue.
Actually, they are a little blue. But I mean, they're set to white. I know that. Yeah, I set them to white on the thing. I think maybe the red is dying a little bit or something.
Oh, your $20 string lights are on the way out.
Yeah, they weren't even $20.
Bummer.
I can rock with blue.
Yeah, yeah. I totally thought they were set to blue though. That's funny.
No, I'll show you blue.
Much more blue.
That's blue.
That makes your room look red. That's crazy on camera.
Whoa. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if that's my white balance in my camera or what. I don't know how cameras work.
That's funny though. Yeah, I would have thought you had it set to blue.
Do you know how cameras work? I always every morning I wake up and I thank God that I didn't go through a photography phase.
Why? What's wrong with the photography phase?
Probably have to cut this out. I don't know, dude. Like, you see little geeks with their cameras around their neck. I don't know.
I don't know. What's wrong with taking pictures? You go out and you take pictures, you get some fresh air. I think it's great.
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with taking pictures. It's just like, I don't know. Photography, like, it's just like, okay, there's all these artists that, like, labor over like a painting or a sculpture or whatever, and like you just like point a thing at a thing and push a button, like, you know what I mean? And then it's like everyone's a photographer. We all have cameras and our phones, like, just little geeks with their little cameras.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it outright. Do you consider photography to be a lesser art form? You consider it like not as real an art form as painting?
No, I honestly, I wouldn't say that, but it just doesn't look very hard. Which I guess, I mean, that doesn't make any, like, I am a firm believer in like I am like one of those, like, I think the banana duct taped to the wall is art, but just don't think it's that hard. It just seems like a lame hobby. I don't know.
I don't know. I sort of agree with you on, like, everyone's carrying a camera around these days, and with like portrait mode and studio, like, it's very easy to take a good photograph these days. I still think it's a pretty cool hobby. Like, I think there's a lot that goes into, like, when you go out and take pictures and you pay closer attention to the world around you and that stuff. Like, I think that's a fun day. I've had some fun days just like going out, taking pictures. Mm-hmm. I don't consider myself a photographer or even like post them anywhere, but I think it's a fun thing to do.
I just go out and I just like look with my eyes
Sure, you could.
and listen. A cool hobby is like pushing buttons on a computer to make it display certain things.
Got to touch grass, Colin.
Or talking to a guy in your computer and recording it. That's a cool hobby.
That is a cool hobby. That's undeniably cool.
Yeah. Or like looking at words on a page. That's a cool hobby. Is there a hobby that you can't just describe in basic terms like that and make it sound dumb?
No, I think they're all pretty dumb when you reduce them to the basics like that. Well,
I gotta think like, I don't know, like driving, like being into race cars, like driving cars fast. That sounds cool.
Okay, that is pretty cool. Okay. Oh, I do have one. I went on a hike with a guy the other day, a group of people. One of the guys was looking for snakes, and
Yeah.
I assumed that he had like some professional interest in snakes, that he was a professor or something. No, it's just a hobby. He just goes out and looks for snakes and then like gets on the forums and he's like, oh, I found a rattlesnake at this place. And people are like, oh yeah, there's a community of rattlesnakes over there.
That is cool. It's like bird watching, but it's just snakes.
Yeah. And he like set out a bunch of, he would put like a sheet of tin down and like that would, he'd go around with his stick and like lift up the thing and see if there were any snakes hiding under there.
That's cool, man.
That's a pretty cool hobby.
I wish I had a cool hobby like that.
You want to go looking for snakes?
No, because it's like that's like his thing. You know, I feel like he's already got that. You know?
But there's a whole community though. Lots of people. It's helpful if lots of people are into the hobby.
Yeah, but just I don't know. Kind of niche hobbies like that are cool. I have a friend who's into RC cars.
Oh yeah,
I think that's pretty cool, actually.
yeah. I think a fun hobby would be drones. I think it would be really fun to like get into flying drones and be semi-serious about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about it.
Not just like it goes up in the air and I take some pictures, it comes back down, but like some of the, bordering on the racing kind of stuff. I think it would be fun to.
Oh, yeah, doing like tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
1x Developer Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Colin. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the 1x Developer Podcast and let you know that if you have any questions, comments, or if you just want to tell us about your day, you can reach us at X, formerly known as Twitter, at 1x Developer Podcast. We're also on YouTube at 1x Developer Podcast. You can email us if you're weird at 1xdeveloperpodcast@protonmail.com. And lastly, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss any further episodes of the 1x Developer Podcast. Thanks so much. See you next time.